What the fuck are you people on about? They're like, is the Razor's Crest, the Mandalorian ship, a modified clone trooper gunship? No, it's not. They look nothing
An
alike.
LAATI.
Yeah. They don't have the same internal layout. Nothing.
Also, I like that in the show they say that this shit, like this design is off the Imperial grid or whatever.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, because totally an old Republic ship would definitely be off the grid.
Yeah. Also, those ships don't have hyperdrives.
I mean, you could put one in it.
Yeah, I'm sure, but like, why go to the bother of heavily modifying in like a 30-year-old Republic gunship when you can get like and put a hyperdrive in it? Hey everybody, welcome back to
Hey
Pixel
there.
Junkies. There's a bit of confusion. I thought we've been recording for the last 2 minutes, but
Adam's over there fucking going through all his material. We haven't even started yet.
fuck. You see me throwing cue cards behind the camera. It's like, oh, this is useless now.
Oh, well, Adam, what did you think about Mandalorian?
I thought it was really good.
Is it better? Is Mandalorian as a whole better than Episode 9?
I don't know if better, but I like it
That's
more.
a debate. Just because of all the connections Episode 9 has.
Yeah. I
It was
thought
good.
I thought it would have been great to have somebody was like, maybe the Razor's Crest will end up in, because there's that scene in the trailer where you see all those ships behind the Millennium Falcon when they're coming. They're like, well, we're gonna take out the Empire, or the First Order, or whatever the fuck. And people are like, maybe it'd be cool if you could see Razor's Crest in the background, and maybe you can, but I don't think it's there.
Yeah, I kind of hope you can't. Just because, like, it'd be a cool nod, I guess, but then that also implies that, like, the Razor Crest is around for another, like, 15 years.
Yeah. Also, how great would it be
Which
if...
kind of railroads any narrative that Jon Favreau wants to do.
Yeah. How great would it be if the Mandalorian, like, after searching for, like, 20 years to find Baby Yoda's family, he lands, he's like, finally, I found it. I know where you belong. And he lands on the planet where Luke set up his Jedi temple. He goes down, and they're all fucking dead. And he's like, God damn it! 20 years with this fucking baby!
Well, fuck, this is just fucking great. Fuck.
Looking around like, is there anyone alive?
Fucking anybody. God damn it.
You see Snoke off of this, like, I'll take the kid. He's like, yeah, no.
Who the fuck are you?
Why the fuck are you wearing gold pajamas? It's like 20 degrees out. Or 20 below. Jesus Christ.
It's 20 Star Wars units.
Are you allowed to be within 100 feet, this child? Great interaction.
Parts of Mandalorian were kind of corny and cheesy, and some of the acting from some of the extra characters was kind of shit.
I mean, Carl
But-
Weathers really hammed it up, but I feel like that's what the point of his character.
Carl Weathers was okay, as was Gina Carano, I think.
Everybody main was great.
Yeah, and even like the sniper that I assume will come back in the second season because it was alluded that she didn't die, but then they didn't do anything with it for the rest of the season.
Oh, you mean when the Black Buddha dude showed up at the end? Like, you just see a pair of black boots?
Yeah.
I'm like, I remember
they said
thinking,
Buddha.
yeah,
Like
what?
Black Buddha shows up. How do you know he's black? How do you know he's Buddha? Or Buddhist?
What a weird crossover that would be. She looks like, Buddha! Finally! My prayers have been answered. What the fuck is Buddha doing in Star Wars?
Yeah, anyway, I assume that was Gideon, but maybe it's something
I thought it was like Boba Fett or something, because it was on Tatooine.
Is it Tatooine?
Yeah, they were on Tatooine.
Oh, yeah, right, because it was Ozzy Spaceport.
Yeah.
He's like, I just got out of a hole. Do you know how to get back to the fucking
What year is
spaceport?"
it?
Jesus Christ. He's like, you came back, man. I'm like, what? No, I'm not anybody you know. I saw you up here, and I was like, you alive or anyway? Same.
Do you have a
helmet, I guess.
ship I could use? I'm trying to go home.
Yeah. What the hell is this?
I thought it was great. I thought it was a great show. I'm interested to find out. So, can we talk about spoilers for the show? Minor spoilers?
Sure, I don't give a fuck. You know.
So, like, you know, at the end when Moff Gideon is
Also, I found it weird that they used the same name as the bad guy from Battlefront 2. Wasn't his name Gideon as well? Gideon Malik?
Was it?
I think so. Anyway.
I like the idea that Gideon, or at the end of the episode when he cuts his way out of the TIE fighter with the Darksaber, I'm like, oh man, fuck, it's the Darksaber, that's really cool. And then that kind of, not contradicts, but it makes me wonder about some stuff that happened in Rebels, because the Darksaber shows up in Rebels as well.
Does it also not look like a lightsaber in that?
Yeah. I mean, the Darksaber shows up in the Clone Wars. That's where it gets its start as a. It's the man because.
Does it ignite like a lightsaber?
Yeah. It is different. It's also an old lightsaber. It was originally created by, I think, Tar Vizsla. I think the guy is the guy's name. Way back in the Old Republic, he was the first Mandalorian to be accepted into the Jedi Order, and we're talking like thousands of years ago, or like at least 1,000 years ago. So it could be that the designs of the old lightsabers look different, and then eventually the saber made its way back into the hands of the Mandalorians, and like it's kind of like whoever holds the this saber is kind of like is like the can unite the different clans of Mandalore. So I'm wondering if I forget his name, Dij. Is that his name?
Oh, the Mandalorian?
Yeah.
The Din Djarin or whatever.
Yeah. I wonder if Din Djarin is going to eventually get his hands on that and kind of become like the king, like a King Arthur figure for his people.
Probably.
Because it's a cool weapon, especially in the hands of a Mandalorian.
It's weird to see a non-lightsaber looking lightsaber in live action though.
Originally, when it was created, people just thought, "Oh, it's not a lightsaber. It's like, you know how like General Grievous's Magna Guards had like those weird like electrical like staffs. They're like, it's not a lightsaber. It's something else. So it can't cut through metal, but it can like be used to parry a lightsaber blade or whatever." That's what it was originally when it was introduced way back in season 2.
Except now it can cut through metal.
What?
Except now it can cut through metal.
Yeah, and then what I'm saying is when it was originally introduced, that's all it was used for, was like the parry lightsaber strikes and stuff. And then it eventually, I think, got changed what it was, and it became an actual lightsaber. So it is weird looking, but it's
and it sounds like a lightsaber.
It's not quite like, it doesn't sound quite like a lightsaber.
I mean, it's similar enough. It's similar in the way that Kylo Ren's lightsaber sounds like a lightsaber.
Yeah, but I think it's just a different design. Also, another really cool thing in that Rebels does is there's one point where they're going around an old Jedi Sith battleground, and they kick something, and they look down, and it's a lightsaber, and they're like, they're everywhere. And one of the lightsabers that they pick up is the same design that Kylo Ren has, like the Claymore style.
Oh yeah.
So that was a really cool touch. Like, oh, he didn't like make it up himself. He was copying an old design. That's cool.
Interesting. And did it have like all the wires and shit on the exterior?
I can't remember. It was only on screen for like a second.
Oh. Because I thought it was kind of cool that he like made his own, but he didn't really know what he was doing.
Yeah.
Which I guess you could say about almost every Jedi in the movies, apart from the prequels.
Yeah.
It's like nobody. Who taught you how to make this?
Well, in the original canon, Luke, when he has to build his new lightsaber after he lost his on Bespin and Maz Kanata came out of nowhere and just, stole it. In the original canon, he goes back to Obi-Wan's hut on Tatooine, and Obi-Wan has a spare kyber crystal, and he says, "Luke, you must. Here's how. If ever
spare one,
or I don't know, whatever."
Oh, hang on, I got one in my pocket. Hang on. There's like a Werther's original.
He said if you ever need to construct yourself a new lightsaber, here's how you do it. There's actually a really good episode of the Clone Wars that show different young Jedi going on their trial on, I think was it Ryla, whatever the planet is, where they get the kyber, like one of the planets where they get kyber crystals.
Is it Ilum?
It's not Ilum. It might be Ilum. I can't remember what planet it is, but it shows them like they have to go out and like they find the different materials to make their lightsabers out of. So it's almost like it's almost like the wands in Harry Potter, like the parts and the crystals themselves call to the Jedi.
Yeah.
And I thought that was pretty cool. That was a good. If I remember correctly, that was a fun episode.
In the original cut of episode 6, Luke is assembling his lightsaber in the cave before he goes into Jabba's palace.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if you ever saw that scene.
No, I never know.
There's like outtakes. Like he's just like sitting in a cave, and you see him like putting parts on it or like, you know, doing the finishing touches on his lightsaber. I don't know why it was cut. Probably because it was boring.
Lightsaber.
Because pretty much nothing happens for the first hour of that movie.
So somebody posted a comic, and it's not how they work, but it was Darth Vader talking to Obi-Wan. I was like, "First, when I last left you, I was but the learner, but now I am the master." And Obi-Wan thumbs his lightsaber on, turns it upside down, and just drops it right to the Death Star and blows it up. You see Darth Vader, you just see the do the next, and Darth Vader's like, oh
shit. Stop it, someone grab it, someone grab it.
It's like that scene in Alien when they're tracking the alien blood as it melts to the floor.
Yeah. It's so dumb.
I love when we shit on Star Wars. We're like the biggest Star Wars fans that we know, like our friend group, and then we're constantly shitting on it.
Also, speaking of Star Wars, I get some serious Rogue One vibes from this level.
Yeah,
Because every time I gotta go up to this thing and I'm resetting the antenna, I'm just like, reset antenna alignment.
Oh yeah.
And it's just...
Reset antenna alignment. Reset antenna alignment.
You see some big ball hovering in the distance that's gonna fire you. I definitely think Krennic got one of the worst deaths in all of Star Wars. Like, yeah, everyone on Alderaan was killed by the Death Star blast, but Krennic literally got killed by the Death Star blast. Like, the laser hit him. Like, Tarkin's like, target that asshole! See them zooming in. Also, I was discussing it after. I don't know if you were there for that, but I was discussing it with people after the episode 9 when we went to see it. When they fire off the Death Star laser for the first time in A New Hope, and the guys are like, "All right, prime ready ignition, fire!" and they pull the trigger, and the laser shoots, and you see all the technicians like cringe away because I get the sense they didn't know what they were doing. They haven't fired it off before. Like, Jesus Christ! It went right behind us, right down the hall.
Yeah.
That could destroy a planet. Jesus, there's not even a railing.
There's no railing. They're like 10 feet away from a laser that can like detonate a planet.
Do we gotta have suits on or something?
The guy's put his hands on like, whoa. There's probably the radiation coming off of this. Fuck me.
It's like in Chernobyl when the guy picks up that bit of what is it? Not tungsten.
Plutonium?
No, what is it that the rods that they put in, carbon rods or whatever? He picks it up, his hand starts melting away immediately. That's what happens to the technicians.
Is that like the elephant's foot or whatever?
No, so apparently when Chernobyl exploded, the cooling rods that had been put into the core to regulate the temperature, they blasted outwards and they landed all over the ground.
Oh yeah.
And when the firefighters went to investigate, they were just standing in the, in next to all this radioactive ice, material, and one of the firefighters picked it up, and it was so radioactive, his hand immediately just melted away. Like within minutes, his hand was in agony.
Why would you do that?
What, pick it up?
Yeah, I mean, like, I don't know. I know, obviously, he didn't know, but when you're at, like, a nuclear fucking reactor...
Yeah. I think he was like...
touch stuff.
I think he was like, oh, let's check out and see what it was like. Now, to be fair, none of the firefighters got out of there in great shape. Because they were like, let's just start spraying water in there and to try and stop the blast or whatever. And
was it like... I guess Chernobyl had a big hand in letting the world know the actual repercussions for nuclear fallout.
Yeah.
Because
Did
obviously prior to that, people didn't know. I mean, how could you? Or why, how could you know about it and then go to a nuclear reactor and pick something up off the ground after an explosion?
Yeah, I mean, for the general public, yeah. I mean, the various militaries who had nuclear bombs and were doing nuclear bomb testing knew throughout, like even back in the 60s, because the Americans, when they detonated their first hydrogen bomb in the Bikini Atoll, they were like, this bomb was hardly radioactive at all, and it was exceedingly radioactive. And a bunch of Japanese fishermen got caught in the blast, and they got immediately irradiated. They had, like, fucking lifelong medical problems because of it, because they got basically a fucking hate bomb detonated within their backyard, and they were like, oh, Jesus Christ. Also, good job, the Americans, in that, like, we're all right, men, we're testing out this top secret, super new hydrogen bomb for the Cold War. This has to maintain an utmost secret of the highest priority by the president himself. Nobody but the people involved with this project are allowed in or out of this cordon. I expect top vigilance around the test site. And then some Japanese fishing boat just casually breaks the blockade. Like, fuck, how did we miss this?
The guy sees like a massive sign. It's just like do not cross nuclear testing beyond this point or whatever. And he's like, I can't read that. I'm going fishing.
Clearly sees the nuclear sign. He's like, my father survived Hiroshima. I can survive this.
Or the nuclear, like, biohazard symbol is like a symbol in Japanese. Like, what do you say about my mom? Fuck you. I got fishing to do, man. How am I supposed to make a living if I can't catch fish?
I guess this ocean is sponsored by the 3 triangle dot breakfast cereal or whatever.
Oh man, that's my favorite cereal. I want to catch those fish. You can get Lucky Charms fish. Wow.
So what they're saying is they're being dragged away by American MPs as they're irradiated to shit.
Yeah, all their guts on the ground behind them as they're getting pulled away.
Yeah. My favorite part in Chernobyl is when they're is the fact that, like, yeah, Chernobyl, like the guys running the plant are like, we did nothing wrong, we're good comrades. And, like, you fucked up so badly that you pretty much led to the destruction of the Soviet Union. That's how bad you're such a fuck up that you ended an 60-year regime. Yeah. Like, the Soviet Union was on the verge of collapsing anyway, but that really was that and the Afghan war was the straw that broke the camel's back, because it cost them so much fucking money just to clean it up. And they were also like the scale of it too, just like, so we poured boron sand over the core to cool it. It's like, okay, I'm with you so far, but the the core is so hot that the boron sand is cooling, but it's also turning into magma. And he's like, so you've made magma? Oh, it gets worse than that because it's melting through the floor. And it's like, I thought you knew it was going to do that. It's like, well, we did, and we thought it was going to melt into an empty chamber, which, you know, would have caused another small explosion, but it wouldn't have been bad. So what's going to happen is, like, well, instead of exploding into a small chamber, it's actually going to explode into a chamber filled with water. Well, won't that cool it down? No, that'll cause it to explode and spew radiation over Europe. What parts of Europe? All of it. The whole part of Europe. And maybe even some parts of Africa. And they're like, Jesus Christ! The fuck is wrong with us? It's like, also, the reason the same nuclear reactors that detonated in Chernobyl with the significant design flaw is also there's like 8 more of them throughout the Soviet Union. Like, Jesus Christ, we're bad at this.
Yeah, man, what the fucking guy in charge of that? What an asshole.
Yeah, the 3.4 Rudkin, not bad, not terrible, dude.
Was that the Russian guy or whatever?
The guy in the control room who was like, who pushed the test crew way too hard and... Yeah.
Oh, alright.
What the fuck was that?
A bunch of motherboards and shit went flying off the table there.
You start screaming at the dudes, there's ghosts! Everyone get out! Quick!
Fuck this. I don't sign up for ghosts. The Canadian flag up there?
Is it? It is a Canadian flag. Again, I do like to imagine that America's getting absolutely fucking ravaged by this war. And up in Canada, we're all fine because we have free healthcare.
That's the reason.
So, somebody pointed out that I saw this meme, and it says apparently in 2020 is going to be my year. And it was like in 1920, 1820, 1720, 1620, and the 1520s, 1420s, there's been a massive plague outbreak that's wiped out large swaths of the human population.
Yeah.
It's like, Jesus Christ.
Like, something gonna happen.
Yeah.
Probably Australia burned into a crisp and World War III.
Yeah.
That's like a plague.
Have you ever looked into the Spanish flu?
I mean, no.
It's pretty terrifying. It killed more people than at the upper estimates say that it killed more people than both world wars combined.
Now to just put this thing in this tube and nothing will go wrong.
What is it?
We're gonna reconnect the shade network for the division.
What the fuck is that?
We're building a Oh, that's good.
Australia, no!
We're gonna turn this room into Australia.
Like, get ready for the Australia exhibit. Can you imagine if somebody was like, I'm making this into the Australia exhibit, and it was a, they go up to all the kangaroos and start lighting them on fire. Like, the zookeeper's like, what the fuck are you doing?
That's their natural habitat.
No, it's not!
Well, it is now. Why did you light the whole country on fire then?
Also, you know in
Your
episode
jizzle.
2 when they're in the gladiator in Star Wars when they're in the gladiatorial pit and they're fighting all the weird creatures, and Obi-Wan is fighting that big spider thing.
Yes.
There's a scene where he's got the spear and he's jabbing it at the creature, and the creature's rearing back and like doing the like with his pincers. He's like jabbing at him with his pincers. Somebody took a shot of that and said rare footage of an Australian farmer fighting back against wildlife invading his home. From the wildfires, 2020.
Yeah, I think
Colorado.
Andrew shared that on one of the discords, and it was like Australia, right? Meanwhile in Australia, and it was a picture of that.
Yeah.
And then Jordan was like, "No, this is actually Australia. It was a picture of fire. And the whole thing was just orange." It's like Jesus Christ.
The response I saw it to, because I saw it on a different site, and it was somebody was like. Australia, farmer defends home from wildlife, Australia 2020, and somebody said fixed it, and it was the same image, but just upside down.
And then there should be a third fixed it where it's all just fire.
So I go on the site Imgur, if you're not familiar, it's like just an image sharing site. A lot of really funny memes and comments and stuff there, and a lot of the footage is the pictures that are be sharing. You've never heard of Imgur?
I have, yes.
Okay. I was more just for the audience.
Facetious. Feces-ish.
But the fucking Imgur, some of the popular pictures on that are stuff about Australia, and guaranteed, the first comment on any picture dealing with the Australian wildfires is something to the effect of, "Our Prime Minister is such a fucking asshole," or "I hate our fucking Prime Minister." They are really not happy with that guy.
Well, he's a bit of an asshole.
Yeah, I mean, he...
the whole country goes up in flames, and he goes on vacation.
Yeah.
10 out of 10. Good idea.
He fucks off to Hawaii for a week.
Or fuck this, I don't have time for this burning country.
Sure, think of there's thousands of people who have lost their homes. Yeah, fuck that. And then he and his convoy show up to talk with some of the firefighters, for a politician press tour thing. And the first thing that the firefighter asked them is, "Do you have any food and water? We ran out." And he says, "No." And he says, and the firefighter goes, "Oh." And then they're clearly like exhausted because they've been fighting this fire for like weeks with little rest and food, and then the Prime Minister ends it with, "Well, I'll let you guys get back to it." And he gets
Is it me? Am I the Prime Minister of Australia?
I mean,
I think that's what happened. I mean, I believe in climate change, so I guess not, but sounds like me.
you don't believe in climate change?
I said I do. He
Oh, okay.
doesn't. Apparently, even though
You
the
don't-
whole country's fucking on fire.
You don't really believe in climate change so much as that, like, you agree with scientists that it's happening. It's just a belief thing, then, like, I acknowledge that this is a thing.
Well,
that
yeah,
exists.
but I'm pretty sure the Australian Prime Minister is like, nah, that's not
Oh,
a
no,
thing.
he doesn't. In fact, there's a really funny photo that somebody
So,
posted from a
by
couple of years
contrast,
ago.
I believe in it.
He, I know what you're saying. I'm just being an asshole to you.
Yeah.
He was, he apparently he walked into the Australian Parliament, and when he wasn't the Prime Minister, he was still like just a member of his party or whatever, and he held in his hand a lump of coal, and he said, "Why is everybody afraid of this? It's just a lump of coal. There's nothing to be afraid of." But apparently he had the whole thing shellacked first so that it wouldn't get coal dust on his hands. What a
Right.
fucking asshole.
Oh, this is getting dirt out of my hands. This is the worst thing imaginable. Put clear coat on that so I don't get dirty, and then I can't complain about it.
Yeah. Where the fuck are you?
I was in like the equivalent of NASA's basement,
Yeah.
trying to get data from a satellite. Some nonsense.
I know. In order to make sure that nobody can get access to this satellite, we'll put it in the water, that big pool.
Well, I think they also had dive tanks for like astronaut training and shit.
Yeah, yeah.
Anyway, next mission, we're on to Jefferson Plaza. She goes over here. So start heading our way that way. Oh, geez, did it just disappear? Oh, okay. What is going on with this piece? Alright, so. Anyway, I guess that'll do it for this week.
Yeah.
We'll head over to Jefferson. And we'll do that.
Is that the name of the family in,
The Jeffersons?
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah. When you add an S on there, it's very obvious. That was like the Moving On Up
Yeah.
show with Red Fox. Is that who's in
Moving
that?
on up
Yeah, I think he was a
to
guest on
the
that.
side.
I think. And then they
spin off of All in the Family, I believe.
oh, maybe. I don't know. I never really watched many of them shows, so I don't know. The only one that I watched that kind of tied into that universe was Fresh Prince.
Did it?
Well, yeah, I think because the father dude, I don't remember the actor's name. The father guy in the Jeffersons showed up on Fresh Prince every now and then.
Yeah.
It's just like, I don't know, just like a guest that, I don't know, he was a friend of the family in the show. I can't really remember.
How great would it be if there was this continuity between all of the different sitcoms, and it's just like they all exist in the same universe?
I thought that was a thing, and that was like the snow globe thing.
Yeah, I don't want to get into it because we're at the end of the episode. I'm pretty sure we've already talked about it, and it makes me mad every time I think about it.
Well, the long and short of it is that a bunch of shows that had crossovers ended up being in the finale, or tied to a show that in the finale revealed it took place inside a snow globe.
It was St. Elsewhere, I think was the name of that show.
So making pretty much everything
a figment of that guy's imagination.
So that's kind of
what
stupid.
a fucking awful way to end your show.
Yeah,
Like, oh, you have this
Roseanne.
show about a hospital, and we got to try and end it somehow. Do you want to have a heartfelt thing where everybody kind of moves on, but they're all like, we'll always be friends? Nope, snow globe. Guy's insane.
I like how the finale of Roseanne, the first time, was
Yeah.
really depressing because she was like going insane from like drug use and whatever.
Was it?
Yeah, and then in the finale
What
of
the fuck was the finale?
well, it was like some fever dream that like she thought her family was successful and everybody was like, you know, people were getting married and having families and everything was good. She was still in love with her husband, and then it actually turned out to be that like her husband had died from a heart attack a couple of years ago, and a couple people died. They didn't win the lottery. Like, it was actually super depressing, and it's like, bye, end of the show. But then they had the Roseanne reboot, and it turns out that Roseanne is actually an asshole, and it got canceled. So there's all that symmetry. It's
Yeah.
great. Anyway, join us next time for Jefferson Plaza.
Yep.
We'll
Moving
see you
on
then,
up
everybody.
to the east side.
Gonna eat some of that pie. Those are definitely the lyrics.